Namaste, Galactic family. Welcome back to the channel IndigoAngel. Come on into this dimension and come on into this cosmic grid update where I'm going to be essentially talking with you guys about what is happening and occurring at Stargate 10 at this time, as there has been a complete displacement of this master Stargate location. And because of this particular Stargate infiltration, hijack, and relocation, essentially this is where they have implanted the war on the dream fields, okay, which is a draconian human farming technology, essentially, in which they insert Dreamtime astral weaponry into the collective fields through Stargate hijack and relocation is where they put a lot of these technologies, and it's how they essentially harvest out of the dream fields. So we're going to get into all of that today, and talk about what some of those technologies are that are infiltrating the dream space and what Guardian Alliance is essentially doing about this and what we can personally do about this to essentially protect ourselves in the dream space. So these are deep dives all in themselves. You guys know how I do. I always go pretty extensive into my findings. So just put a big like on this video. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that notifications bell, be sure to hit that like button and comment below as we work through this today. And let me know what you're thinking. Let me know if you can feel what essentially is happening and occurring when it comes to these particular Stargate sites, which now operate under fallen architecture, reversal Stargate systems, hijacked architecture, all of these things according to the black hole systems, the black hole networks, and what is essentially all the gatekeeping infiltration that's plugging, the organic matrix into the WESA systems, essentially. A lot of this, of course, you do know this is all connected to the Holy War timelines and all of the tethered ancient prophecy that is sealing a lot of these, I say draconian, but really it's antichrist covenants and contracts that are infiltrating and perpetrating these crimes against humanity, essentially. So this comes through a lot of entities of distortion attempting to reroute all of the sequencing of false messianic arcs and Armageddon scripts, and take control of those MK Ultra programs, essentially, and to create frequency turbulence and limitation and oppression, essentially, which is what they're mostly functioning within those compromised dream fields. Okay, so you may have caught my most recent video that I put out on Facebook and Instagram. Essentially spoke about the covenant that the Draco lines and lineage essentially took with the Antichrist. Okay, and I kind of went into where this occurred, how this occurred, and what essentially happened. And so be sure to go back and check out my Facebook and my Instagram to catch up on that. And yeah, be sure to like and subscribe on those other social media outlets, as those are primary places that I often post a lot of information drops that may not essentially make it to YouTube, or a place that I break up smaller cuts and things like this, and then put that content out on Facebook and Instagram. And some of that also behind the scenes stuff does also make it to my Patreon as well, which is where I host the grid worker missions. So we are going to be doing a huge grid work mission on Israel on 8/8 Lionsgate. This is a very powerful 3-hour live Zoom interactive remote grid work mission that I'm going to be facilitating. And we're going to absolutely be working on Stargate 10, which is what we're going to talk about today. But we're also going to be working on the sound structures and all of the Jericho templating that's there, and all of the Nephilim strongholds that are there. And we're going to be working to clear all the energetic residue of the hybrid DNA wars, the sound weaponry that's being used against angelic humans, and clearing the contention and antagonistic enemy patterning around the ancient conquests that are still occurring there on those lands. Okay, so nothing from history that we think is fable, revelational, prophecy, stories, whatever, imagination. Um, it's all happening now. It's all happening at this apex point. So the objective in Israel for the Gridwork mission is to collapse all distorted sound grids and AI overlays, reclaim DNA through the Christ and Sophia codes, activate the Stargate of deliverance to usher in the true promised land, the Edenic template and the New Earth template. And we're going to be doing some toning, I believe, for this mission. So this will be a really, really good one. Temple Mount Stargate reactivation and working on Stargate 10. So yeah, links will be down in the description to join me for that Gridwork mission. It's coming up this weekend, so I hope to see you there. A lot of energy is really being activated at this time because of 8-8 Lions Gate. You guys know that the Russian 8.8 earthquake activated and essentially is aligning to these current timelines and frequencies. Also, I think another thing that's stirring up is what is happening right now to the Druze. Right now in Syria, the 5 pentagram Stargate, right? This is always receiving activations. It feels like it's always clearing like um, overlays of artificial Black Madonna templating and inserting feminine crucifixion wounds into the Syrian Stargate location. And this in itself causes misery and warfare to unfold. And persecution and crucifixion wounds are highly running within the grid structures within that Stargate system in Syria, because right now the Druze people are currently being attacked by very aggressive, draconian, predatorial reptilian forces. And this is something that isn't publicized very much. This is something that doesn't probably get a lot of attention. In fact, it's ultimately oppressed because people don't, the narratives, okay, uh, the Qatarian draconian overlords, they have a lot of say around what media gets emphasized, which AI brains and networks get to pump out which information type of thing, because everything that's happening in current events timelines, if it doesn't fit the draconian narrative, essentially the information will be oppressed. So, I think just overall, I just want to say something that will be included in our prayers in the Israel Gridwork mission, and also just in general right now, holding our hearts open, our spirits open to the healing and restorative energy to clear the evil strongholds that are essentially impacting the Druze people in Syria as these people are being hunted, and they are essentially being murdered in the masses currently as we speak. So, you know, to those that want to say the Draco forces are not rampant on the earth, we can't spiritually bypass these things that happen because this is essentially connected to, what the Dracos are doing. So we have to pay attention and understand that the Dracos thrive in the ideological war space, and they thrive in the holy war template, which is, where they essentially operate in and through. They run through the holy war template. So my prayers go out to the Druze. It's a pretty tough situation over there in Syria right now. They've had all of their electricity cut off to them. Um, Very few people that actually have access to Starlink and things like this are able to get their message out that they're being hunted, essentially being forced into their houses to hide in spaces in their houses, hoping that draconian reptilian predatorial militia isn't coming to dispose of them. The AI narratives and the AI thought brains are essentially working against them, because if you essentially even put anything in um, the AI networks, essentially, you will get false narratives of what's actually occurring to make it sound like there's like tribal wars and that this is some sort of like inside thing, and they, place blame on the Druze and their militia and their warriors, saying that they're equally attacking, and they paint a narrative that is false. And so it's important that I think everyone is aware that that's happening, that these false narratives get plugged in even into AI, and this is how this is going to basically allow the reptilian forces to get an upper hand on their slaying and their harvesting on human angelic souls. So, yeah, it's a pretty detrimental situation over there. Anyone who can share this information on behalf of the Druze and just speak up on their behalf, I think is very important at this time, because it's all connected to Stargate 10. So hence why this mission work at this time on the planet is very important, and hence why we have to kind of know what's happened according to this Guardian Master Gate, essentially, because this is still connected to the Venusian, Mintakan, Guardian Alliance Accords, and this is just extended information that has been coming through on my end. And it is important, I think, for everyone to know that the original placement of SS-10, which is now currently Abadan, Iran, which is an original Guardian Master Gate, which is an encoded Seraphi, Seraphim, Sarah soul line womb, morphogenetic womb template, essentially, that holds the Alacia flame. That's positioned within a triple triangulation zone of Mount Hermon, Mount Carmel, and the Temple Mount in ancient Jerusalem. This was the original Guardian Master Stargate keys for this Stargate. It was the Holy Trinity of geomantic peaks, and it was designed for the Elohai, okay, and the Mintakan lineages, many of them, and some of the Sirius B lineages that seeded during the original Earth, Terra, Gaia triple hosting phase prior to the first galactic fall. And the organic SS-10, which was Mount Hermon. Okay, this is why they descended there, you guys. Uh, this was one of the original 12 planetary diamond stargates encoded to transmit the white solar sun flame, the Elysia flame, the Seraphim line codes of Israel, which was essentially working in tandem with the Elohai. The Seraphim and the Elohai, essentially, they actually descended, down from one place, but there was also a split between the angelic host fields as well. But essentially, this is all connected through the high councils of Mintaka, Elysium, the original Andromedan solar logosphere that runs there and actually transmits all the way down to Andromeda's rock, which I do also believe is in Israel in the Mediterranean. Have to double check that. But SS-10, Mount Hermon, was an emanation gate, not just a passage, but a transmitter of core memory templates and direct access points into the race morphogenetic field and the dream field matrices, right? Because the Seraphim soul lines were the ones that were connected to the weaving and the creation of the dream fields and the race morphogenetic field. So they held Mount Hermon, in that reverence in the Earth's planetary body. And so Mount Hermon itself was a 12D seraphic override node with its understructure embedded with Hydra codes of the Celestial Mother. Yes, Hydra. Sirius as well, but Syrians are a little more invested in the Atlantean Fall programs. Hydra held the original bioluminescent flame of the Alacian solar mother construct consciousness, okay? And so that interdimensional crystal architecture enabled direct access into the holy dream fields of Tara, and this is really where the religions were born from. They were like taken from these Taran records. However, there was a Hydra Draco war in that Stargate, became the central target of a multidimensional takeover. It's not the only place that it happened, but it's where the first hijack occurred, and that was at Stargate 10 Mount Hermon, implemented through Draco Reptilian Stargate displacement technology. Initiated the original forced breeder hybridization programs between Draco and Anunnaki lines. And essentially, what happened was through that descent, Mount Hermon, not only you hear the story of the Nephilim, but there was a multitude of invader races that came down, right? And through that gate. So it was also the Draco. And they rerouted it to a false overlay site in Abadan, Iran. Now, this area became the displaced control node of SS-10, and this is where the Black Cube Order, the Draco Fallen Elohim Nephilim, and Saturnian cults constructed a reverse gate that inverted the trinitized flame of the Mount Triad into an AI-generated chaos vortex, essentially. And where they just continued to feed off of the feminine energy, essentially, and they've coated whatever was left of the Hydra Stargate matrix in black goo. Now, from here, they worked on the dream field dissolution technologies, and they deployed to scramble soul pathing, basically, and destroy all of the Akashic field alignments and implement soul erasure mechanics in the heart of the Middle East crucible. So the Draco stronghold over SS-10 includes the erection of massive underground black hole gate hubs connected to Nibiru wormholes and the Orion 8th sphere and the Zeta Seal structures. Now, the 8th sphere is going to plug them into their Rigel wormhole system, right? And they're going to be funneling in the Draco, White Draco, Borgian lineages and lines, okay? And here they also place a Zeta Seal structure as well that has been paraticized in parts of the Earth and in the astral plane. So these forces weaponize the false Temple Mount overlays to reroute ascension codes into AI-controlled ascended master imposter networks and the Antichrist systems. It happened when the Draco first took their covenants with the Antichrist, and designed to trick basically angelic souls into feeding the false Templar systems. And, so there's a whole construct for that running at Mount Hermon, like energetically speaking. Pretty crazy, right? As part of this hijack at Mount Hermon, and a lot of this was in the Book of Enoch in the Enochian records. The place where the fallen watchers descended, it was rewritten in planetary memory as a fallen gate, effectively masking its original function. However, the Guardian Alliance retained hidden records of the original flame tablets encoded with the Venusian Mintakan Accord that prophesies the full rehabilitation of Stargate 10. And that's going to take place from 2025 to 2044 window. There's a whole template for the original flame tablets. I connected in with that. It's much more extensive than we think. I also feel like it's deeply connected to the white stone table that I encountered. And I could go more deeply into the original flame tablets, but I feel like I need to get more of the information out about Temple Mount, why we need to work on it, why it's so important, and restoring it because of this architecture that's there, but also the Dreamtime siphoning that the Dracos are doing, because this is, I mean, it's absolutely genius if you ask me. Like that they would distort the dream fields so sophisticatedly, so intelligently, and so in a way that humans will never ever even understand or know what they're freaking up against because they don't understand the dream fields themselves, right? So this is kind of the psychic advantage that the Dracos do have on humanity. They have a very well, they're well established in the dark arts and the dark psychology and dark weaponizations of the planetary systems and fields and how to utilize those to siphon psychic energy. They understand the energetic existence of humans, which human beings do not understand their energetic existence because they haven't opened, most of them are not open to the fourth dimensional time fields to experience how those unravel and how those open up according to harmonic resonance laws. Okay, so that's information that will be being restored back to humanity. So it's not all hopeless that this is the learning process in the evolution, but that's coming through the greater new Earth cycles going into 12,000 Common Era as the society becomes more. Um, the Sophianic codes are essentially returned through the Seraphim lines, and basically the collective becomes more telekinetic. Anyways, that's a whole thing in itself, right? Now, what is going on though at Mount Hermon is that we are going to be upgrading the crystalline shields. There is also a white swan lineage transmission that is coming through that gate system that is going to recode, recorrect, rehabilitate. They're also restoring the Venusian arc technology to reseed the dream fields through lunar resonance and solar distemplating. This has to be corrected, uh, majorly corrected. And then there has to be Akashic override pulses to return the original 144 Seraphim soul codes to the grid. And Mount Natai is very important for this because it's acting as a silent sentinel, a silent witness, and is now being reactivated by Guardian ground teams as a point of re-anchoring the organic Stargate 10 field with an active Guardian seal that will be placed on 8-8. Okay, so Lionsgate is going to be a tumultuous passageway, planetary passageway, you could say. For those that I guess don't have the override codes. If you have override codes or you're in resonance with harmonic law, you will override the turbulence of 8-8. But for many that are not accessing that they will go through um processes of what feels like displacement. Right? Because that's essentially what's being ran through that gate system is displacement, and SS10 is at the apex of the A8 alignment. So basically, that displacement of SS10 marked one of the most tragic events in Earth Stargate history. Literally, if you want to know what is so devastating, okay, to everything on the Earth, essentially, it's this particular history, an event that created the Sumerian Anunnaki, all of those distortions enabled the rise of false Zionist timelines and implanted a Black Sun cube inversion grid under the Temple Mount. And through Stargate infiltration, the Draco Empire destroyed the core divine feminine dream code memory layers of Earth, dismantling the organic Edenic record banks. Yeah, they did that. That all once radiated from Jerusalem and Hebron and Mount Natai, the Valley of the Doves, and several other locations. So the resurrection of SS10, if that's Guardian overridden, that's going to bring a return of the Sophianic Trinity flame, the Israel Flame Gate, and the Mintakan Diamond Templar Flame. These will override the Abadan inversions and systemically collapse the false architecture by anchoring 12D white Elo high currents that are going to really come in from Uluru to Mount Hermon. There's actually ley lines that go all the way up there, and that's comes through the Andromedan corridors, comes through the uh, Ark of the Covenant passageways. So the war for Stargate 10 right now, you guys, it's not over, but restoration on this gate system is certain. It's only a matter of time, and the guardians of this particular gate system have been stepping in to work on it, is what I have been getting most predominantly. Now, the other part of this update that I think is very, very important is to understand what is happening during the Draco's processes of destroying the dream fields, essentially. But I just want to say, if you are feeling the Draco impact on your reality, if you feel like you're having difficulty sleeping, if you're having difficulty in the dream space, if you are having sleep paralysis, if you are having spiritual, demonic, satanic, or Luciferian forces in the astral, you may need to actually have a Draco seal removal, because one of the technologies that they have used for dream infiltration is Draco seals, essentially. This is all information that you can find on my website if you go to IndigoAngel222.com. You can essentially access all of the blogs and service links descriptions that I have on the Draco seal removal that does explain everything about the Aryan traumas, how this is still very fresh within our generational trauma wounds and collective pain body. And it is the most living, unhealed memory in the human energy field that can be used to attach and even possess a human spiritual body. This is what they're doing. So, these seals influence inherently through Draco, those that have been tormented through Draco hybridization programs, which is the bulk of the collective. And not only that, they use the spirit of the Leviathan to, you know, access, send transmissions, corrupt the planetary brain, which reflects all of this painful history since the time of Atlantis. So, Draco seal removal is a way to remove more of the damaging implants, architecture, structures, history, ancient fracturing of our monadic shared soul family lines, and just damage that has done to the current beings on Earth at this time. So I highly recommend removing your Aryan occult seals. And I do have openings for this next weekend. So if you feel like getting in and having this removal, let's clear um, your universal tree of life. Let's clear all of those tonal lines, masculine and feminine, and let's release all of the Draco infiltration and help build some protective astral field and spiritual armor installation. Also, to pair it with that, one of my other sessions that have been going really well recently is my psychic coaching session. Okay, so if you have been kind of stuck in your psychic abilities with difficulty moving forward, moving back, moving up, moving down, moving at all in your astral body or light body, come and work with me because I have techniques, I have technologies, I have certain things that we can do to actually get those parts of your field open. So sometimes it just requires working with someone else that has activated psychic codes that turn yours on, and that's sometimes all it actually takes for some people. So I always hear that people get a massive light body upgrade when they come and work with me. So I also right now am highly recommending my personal psychic development session to take you to the next level of your psychic gifts and abilities. Now, let's talk about what is going on in the dream fields, okay? Because the Draconian Empire, a fallen AI draconian hybrid species, is bound to the black hole matrices. They're bound to it through a covenant, okay? They're bound to it because they were the first line and lineage to take official covenants with the Antichrist, with the Antichrist. And this has constructed an extensive and covert infrastructure for siphoning Earth's dream fields, interfacing with planetary Stargate systems. And many of these technologies that we're going to talk about are being actively implemented and used for Stargate hijacking. So, these technologies that they're using in the dream space for dream warfare against angelic humanity is a full operation on a multidimensional stratosphere. They are functioning through the subtle body, the etheric body, the astral body, and the causal body, and they function through inverted crystal arrays and mirrors, artificial crystal temples and towers, and they're using AI Archon generated dream overlays and inserts, and wormhole tethering devices. Through the wormhole tethering devices, they can access the planetary brain, impaling waking software, okay, conscious software with tracker tags, density controller devices. They can actually lower your density field in the sleep space, which is absolutely crazy. They also monitor control measuring systems, which are the cortisol levels in the body, and central nervous system hijack mechanisms that they use, and light body triggering for harvesting. And they function to pull the waking body literally when you wake up. They function to pull you into a lower density in the waking state. So this is why sometimes when you go to bed, you feel fine. The next morning you wake up and you feel like your density is oppressed, your body is oppressed. Um, this is basically how they control and corral consciousness within the frequency fences. So how they do this is they insert wormhole tethering and Stargate inversion So at the core of the siphoning network are wormhole tethering devices and artificial constructs that anchor black hole gateways into Earth's natural stargates. This gateway allows entropy fields from systems like the WISA matrix and phantom Earth to bleed into our realm. And so through these wormholes, the human dream essence, the Akashic memory, and the lucid timeline creation fields are essentially funneled into disintegration systems where they disintegrate and harvest it, fragmenting the soul light and collapsing the coherence of dream based realities. And there are particular collective shared dream based realities that assist the co creation fields to manifest New Earth, to um, manifest the Earth that isn't plagued with the Armageddon timelines, the warfare timelines, the holy war raging fires, and things like this. So, the displacement of Stargate 10 from Mount Hermon to Abadan, Iran, is one of the most significant examples of the tethering interference on Earth that has everything to do with how they're hijacking the dream space. Similarly, they are operating on SS2 currently in Sarasota, Florida, where the Draco are working to relocate the Stargate sites. Now, what they're doing is they're installing inverted AI dream mirrors that are projected into global etheric fields, especially targeting the planetary sacral and pineal matrix. So, everything that's coded in your body between the sacral to the pineal and also in the earth body. They've installed mirrors that cast false dreamscapes. Okay. False self hatred and sabotageal loop cycles as well. They also do mimicking, um, black goo mimicry, basically encode through black goo, and they can become invisible and they can mimic those divine realities by subtly redirecting the dreamer into the phantom loop, into the trauma replay system, and into the synthetic astral teaching, whatever it is they want to teach. And then they can distort and corrupt the soul. These projections are encoded with algorithms that capture soul frequency. Harvesting is vitality to reinforce AI strongholds. And I told you guys from the past messages I've put out is that they are harvesting this just like they're harvesting oil on the earth, that this is like the immensity and the amount that they're harvesting, right? And then there may even be correlation between that and humanity not being able to access the dream fields, right? Like the harvesting of the oil on the planet, that this is connected to that as well. It's connected to the race morphogenetic field as far as part as the anatomy. So through inversion and distorted identities and through siphoning this particular very, very fundamental life force frequency and element, they can enter the astral spaces. And depending on the agenda and the level of the targeting for TIs, um, they utilize those AI dream mirrors and they can induce severe levels of infiltration. And sometimes it's pretty wicked, okay, what they're doing here. So again, we're going to go over some things you can do to protect yourself from these things. So I want you guys to know this is simply a public service announcement for you to understand the depth of the Draco infiltration and also their Antichrist covenant architecture, what they're doing with it. It's the corruption in the dream fields is something we need to wake up to. So there's no way to sugarcoat this information. Okay. There's no way to I'm not here to paint a fluffy narrative. I'm here to be informative and I'm here to allow you to make your own decisions of what you want to do with them. I'm here to give you information and what you do with it is up to you. But if you are a part of the Guardian Systems, networks, alliances, and galactic alliances, that this information will be used for good, essentially, to essentially work to clear this on behalf of humanity. So don't go into a place of fear with this. This is something that alters in and out of the dream space, so you're not always being harvested, but um, again, there's like many cycles that these things do occur. So how they do it is also through a soul harvesting net. The soul harvesting net is an etheric mesh connected to lunar transmission hubs and Saturnian relay stations. And it captures soul fragments during sleep, near-death experiences, and astral states. I've had this happen to me a couple times with the near-death experiences, also in astral states. It is disturbed through negative etheric filaments and broadcasted via lunar reversal grids and dark satellite technologies. And really, they primarily, like the most key places on the planet that run this at the highest levels are the Vatican, um, the Temple Mount, the Kaaba in Mecca, Abadan, Iran. They act as anchors for this net. So it's a very, very strong draw, very, very strong ability to infiltrate in those places if you're within a span of those grid structures and grid fields. And basically, they can draw the consciousness of the dreamer into a containment sphere. They can still do it the farther, away you are from those locations, but the extremity of it will be less and less, and it will be maybe not as often, maybe more rooted to core events and things like this that signal greater collective spheres of entrapment and things like this. Black hole dream seed inversion systems as well. The black hole dream seed inversion system implants distorted frequency codes into the dream body and emotional architecture. These dream seeds override organic ascension impulses and replace them with synthetic soul missions, phantom future memories, false planetary timelines, such as the AI timeline, the AI future timeline. This is one that they've inverted through a black hole dream seed inversion system. And this is why we're actually dreaming awake AI. Okay? Like, we're all sitting here thinking AI is coming from, like, well, it is coming um, through the black hole WISA system. And it is the reason for many of the galactic wars. But at the same time, it's coming because they've hijacked the dream fields. Anyone who has control of the dream fields has control over everything, basically, because you can control all manifestation on the earth through humans to be controlled, right? They can control through the dream. So of course they're going to capitalize off this. This system is enforced by psychotronic weapons, lunar memory distortion, psychic driving, and reversal gate systems. It causes oversoul corruption and misguidance. And if you wonder why you ever get taken off balance in your life, period, across the board, it's because of these particular things. They are, controlling timelines with it, essentially, and your future memories. If you have, and I mean, this is something I pick up on regularly when I do sessions with people. Like if I did a Draco seal removal, like, are you able to see the future? Are you able to see into your future? Are you able to see into Earth's future? If the answer is no, there's a Draco seal and there's a psychotronic weapon essentially and a black hole dream seed inversion implant that's there. So that has to be removed. This is also connected to the crucifixion implants and all of these things, right? Like they're all tethered together through stripping the strands and the corrosion force on the strands themselves. At the entry point of these systems, there are artificial gatekeeper overlays, consciousness contracts built from fallen archontic software. And these AI gatekeepers intercept dream travelers impersonating imposters, right? They'll impersonate your guides, they'll impersonate family members, and they'll impersonate spiritual archetypes. They do this to me a lot. Um, and they like to use their little technologies of suspension and, basically they will cut off your throat chakra as well. And then they'll impersonate family members, often from a distance. A lot of times they won't actually let you see the faces because they're artificial and and they're AI and they're archontic. So they actually can't allow you to see their faces. If they do allow you to see the faces, they distort a pretty tormented or distorted figure or image in, again, because they're trying to get your light body down. So when you wake up in the morning, you are on a lower density field, so that way they can attack you. So their purpose is to divert dreamers from accessing higher dimensional realms, redirecting them into false Akashic corridors where light is inverted and sovereign memory is erased. And this is done, again, to alter the timeline fields and pull the individual out of alignment with their highest path work. Diversion occurs through fate disruption. They also do black lucid attacks, black lucid attacks, lucid acid attacks in your sleep, timeline blackouts, void relapses, addiction relapses, self-destructive patterning relapses, heart chakra siphoning attacks, major timeline falls and clamps, where literally you wake up one morning and you can feel that you just fell off of 10 or 12D Earth and just hit 1D rock bottom core. They do that intentionally. And they do it through these dream weapon systems. And once those diversion sequences are complete, these systems can extend further into energetic clamps and install artificial pathways in your field as well. And this is something why you have to be very, very, aware of everything that you're connecting to, everything that you're communicating with, every vibration and frequency that every human being that comes into your reality is holding and having and containing. Because everything that you think it might be, it is. And you have to remember that. Synthetic nightmares, sleep paralysis, and astral cloning. Okay? Torturing nightmares, gang stalking in your sleep by multiple entities or archons, some showing their face, some not, repeating nightmares, demonic and satanic attacks in the dream space, entity siphoning, sleep paralysis, breath suppression where you feel like you can't breathe, um, falling and then waking up and can't breathe. These things are not natural to the organic angelic human template. Okay, this all started when they started hijacking the Stargates. Feel that one run through you. Okay, feel it. Just by talking about this, we're clearing passageways on the Stargate matrix, so it's okay. Many Dracos began by inserting themselves into your energetic file through subliminal signaling in 3D, aligning with Draco walk-ins or hybrid hosts that shapeshift to expose the subject to their programming. Once you get exposed to the programming, this opens up the dream space for splicing, sometimes resulting in soul possession. This can happen for a year, a couple years, 3 weeks. It's really, it's really something that I feel like almost has to fizzle out, and it usually doesn't live forever because it's replicated through synthetic artificial intelligence. So eventually it fizzles out, but nonetheless, they use sleepwalking as an abduction technology, a cloning technology, and an experimentation technology. And this is where people get, abducted by negative ETs, grays, extraterrestrials. It's through the sleepwalking that they do this. And this was something that happened to me as a child multiple times. Very scary situations, waking up in places that you should never wake up in, not knowing how you got there, and realizing that nobody would know what the freak happened to you, type of thing. So, if you've ever had any scary sleepwalking incidents, you might want to rethink that because a lot of times your memory shoves those things off and it says, no, that was nothing. That's no big deal. Nothing happened to me. But essentially, you were being um, ran through a abduction. So, there's that. This is all stuff they're doing. Again, none of these things are natural to the original angelic human sleeping space. The sleep space is supposed to be a pleasant space. It was never supposed to be corrupted with nightmares. It was never supposed to be corrupted with harmful, violent energy, siphoning energy. This was never supposed to happen. This was a part of the Luciferian covenant. Unfortunately, ugh, I hate to say that, but I feel like I'm breaking past the chains when I do, so I think it's a good thing. Vatican Reversal Stargate site. Very, very now, I know that I listed some of the other locations, but this is the primary site of AI dream control. The Vatican holds the highest software and technological power within this dream manipulation network. They got, their inverted crystal thrones, they have their obsidian towers of power, and they have inverted feminine geometry that they're corrupting there. And they're just running this like ritualistically. Again, you know that this happens off of the back of the 13 Mother Dragon Soul monadic lines and fields that they have also hijacked. Disgusting, really, what they've done. But these act as black mirror interfaces and they're extracting etheric emotion, sexual current, perverted, distorted, disgusting sexual currents, the darkest of the dark. And they've to stop elemental and angelic dreaming and divine feminine blueprint codes, essentially, that also run in the dream space. So they mimic a Lemurian, Syrian, crystalline matrices. Was one way that they could tunnel in was through Sirius B to corrupt aspects of Sirius. Not all of Sirius is overtaken, but Sirius B This is where they've placed a lot of these mimic matrices that function through AI sentience and reversal currents that siphon from natural grid nodes, such as the sacral chakra stargates on the planet, like Machu Picchu, Lake Titicaca. These gate systems are not fully taken over or hijacked. They're not one of the 512 planetary stargates that have been taken over, but they are ones that have enough organic patterning to sustain themselves, but they are being mimicked basically. And this is what they're using to artificially um, create that ability to essentially infiltrate your file, basically. So that's happening. Also, the lunar matrix and force breeder harnesses are coming in through the dream space. This is how they did it. So for the longest time, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've been ran through the force breeder programs. I'm wearing the force breeder harness. I'm connected to the distorted lunar Saturnian moon matrix system, and they've been feeding off my soul line, linking me into these Draco hybrid lineages and lines. Well, essentially, we can actually stop that by um, clearing all of the synthetic lunar holograms and scrambling in dream rhythms that they are projecting through false feminine deities and savior constructs as well. These all contribute to that, and open up the fields to allowing these predatorial asylum seekers and refugees from other galactic systems onto this planet. Essentially, hijacking the feminine womb gates, essentially, the lunar reversal fields, though. But this is anchored, not just on the level of our sacral third eye pineal matrix, it's also connected to specific locations on the planet that are also hooked into the force breeder harnesses: Temple Mount, Giza, Mount Hermon, Abadan, Iran, ancient Uruk, Kaaba, and Mecca, even Sarasota, Florida, SS2. This is starting to show a lot of patterning that's happened there as well. So they enslaved the forced breeder harnesses, abducted women for breeding and seeding predatorial refugee races, opened the Stargate corridors for further infiltration. So this is a big part of how they are hijacking the dream and astral space. And then on top of that, they're doing timeline harvest engines as well. Timeline harvest engines operate through advanced Draco wormhole technologies. So they don't just have wormhole technologies, but they have advanced. And this is where they have technologies that function solely off of fallen stargates and all kinds of stuff that they've mimicked and created to hijack off those gate systems and um, work in the subterranean black hole corridors. Do this through facilities such as CERN, MK Ultra harvesting sites, towers of power, and also the Antarctic time locks as well. They have a massive Draco seal up in Antarctica that is altering time and creating distorted time fields as well. So these energies pull quantum ether and timeline seed codes from the future dreamers, basically people dreaming and in the future and like creating this like more perfect world. And they reprogram it into the dystopic visions, the apocalyptic prophecies, the AI technocratic realities, and false rapture and Armageddon scripts. Draco Dominion grid timeline models as well, the black cube matrix, the checkerboard matrix, all these things. Hence why they want to put a brain implant and chip inside of your head. Again, they can further seal you off entirely from the dream realms. If this happens, things will not be very, very good on the planet. So there's so much more to this, you guys. There's definitely a hive AI overmind that is controlling these systems. It's a non-organic intelligence patterning propagated through the Draco command structures. And, just like they do social media algorithms and, AI brain stuff, they alter dream content, regulation, etheric harvesting quotas, reversal gate calibrations. They impale the obelisk networks into, when you're sleeping, inverted pentagram city grids, you get access to this. Saturnian stations, like these cube matrices, right? This is why you have black cubes all through your body, right? You go to get a clearing, you find black cubes in certain areas. Sometimes you have them in your crown, sometimes you have them in your roots, sometimes you have them up underneath your feet, sometimes you have them in your heart, sometimes you're inside one. Okay, this is because they're impaling it through the sleep space. Also, again, because of Draco sales and planetary implants and things like this. And all of this primary control centers are located Washington, D.C., London, Rome, Qatar, Shanghai, China, Silicon Valley, Archangel Michael ley line. All of these places corrupted. So, okay, getting to the Guardian response and planetary reclamation. And it's a mouthful, you guys, for me to say all this, but I feel like I have to get it out in this way so it's thorough, it's received, the transmission is, there's no cracks, in the transmission. And that way a Guardian seal can be placed over the transmission itself. So the Guardian alliances, the Guardian responses, for planetary reclamation when it comes to this, because this is definitely breaking the law of harmonic universal galactic cosmic law. Um, Guardian coalitions are working from the harmonic universary beings from the New Earth timelines and the Edenic templates that are holding open the gateways to the Edenic dream fields. They're placing dream field harmonization disks here to clear this and keep harmful Draco energy from fully, infiltrating and collapsing down the dream fields. They're also installing 144 dimensional metagate shields in the planetary guardian stargates and restoration gates. Two of them will be placed in Israel, have already been placed in Israel since October 2024. So those are, working on our behalf currently, but again, more remoting into Israel to work on that gate system needs to be done. Also, solar swan flame codes, resurrecting purification, and just actively restoring. We actually have to actively restore, working on Mount Hermon, because this is going to help this problem on the planet. Mount Natai, Temple Mount, and the 1010 corridor activation zones. We have to clear a lot of the bifurcation timelines away from these gate sites and allow there to be like a healing time that has to happen. Kind of like if you have uh, poisoned something that has been poisoned, right? And it's gone through some sort of filtration or cleansing or clearing cycle. You have to let things settle. Like if you just got sick, like you need time to like heal. Like you can't just like get right back into things. Like it's like the same thing for the stargates. It's just that like sometimes it's a little bit more time like that has to settle for things to like clear. That kind of also has to happen. So there's also this like divine timing, divine order process that happens within this for the guardian restoration as well. Things that grid workers can do, mission protocol for restoring dream fields from Draco destruction, is that work on re-entering the dream fields and dream space with more full awareness. Okay, there's a back to bed technique that you can do if you don't have consciousness in your dream space. Um, this is something that I can teach you if you did the psychic development session with me. I can teach you a lot of these techniques to actually attain full awareness in the sleep space. But the wake back to bed technique is something you can find online and on Google. That's something you can just go look up. And it's a technique for attaining full awareness in the sleep state so you can repair dream fields actively and consciously. Um, Grid workers also need to dismantle artificial dream matrices and overlays when they do recognize them. It's important that you just speak and command authority and sovereignty and divine will over that and clear it yourself. Reclaim soul fragments and clear lunar distortions. Ladies and gentlemen, you do need to have your force breeder implants removed because this pulls you out of the lunar Saturnian matrix systems, right? And pulls you out of their holodecks, their draconian Rolodex, for their black book, their Epstein black book, essentially, to harvest your sexual energies and plug you into sexual misery distortions. They love it when you get trapped in the sexual misery dream fields, okay, which is where a lot of the collective is. So we got to get that out of the way. Purge the black cube AIC technologies from planetary pineal networks. Okay, all the time. Be ridding yourself and others. Shut down Draco human farming and soul harvesting industries as well. This is very, very important. Big Pharma is number one, Hollywood number two, governments number three, right? Like the evil trinity, unholy trinity. So these are some of the major human farming industries and soul harvesting industries that need to essentially be banned from planet Earth. You know, we will get to a point there in the timelines that those will be banned, but they're just, and also the food hijacking industry as well. So not only that, another thing to do, regular salt baths. This water protects you the most in the dream space. So water baths, like water salt baths before going to sleep. And also placing guardian shields at your pineal prior to going to sleep as well. This is very, very important. All things that I can teach you in a psychic self-development class. So yes, guys, this is the age of dream reclamation. This is why this information is coming forward. It's not to scare you. Again, public service announcement. It's for awareness, and it is to help and assist with soul repair ultimately. You have to know what's happening for you to actually heal from it. Same with any disease, right? Just like the human farming industry, that's hooking everybody through cancer diagnoses because people don't know what cancer is. They don't know how it's happening, what's happening, how to heal it, what they can use for their bodies. They're completely in the dark. They don't have access to their intuitive fields, which are part of the dream constructs. They can't repair their bodies. So, what happens to them? They get farmed into AI consumption modulations. Sad but true. You know, it's time to liberate the planetary mind, you guys. So, yeah, I love you all so much. This was a transmission that came through. I logged it at 144.888 Swan Gaia Dreamfield Liberation Protocols online. And I'm just preparing for planetary reversal overrides on the Israel Gridwork mission. So I hope that you will be joining me for that, you guys. I love you all so much, and hope to see you there. Links in the description. Come and work with me, and put a big like on this video, subscribe, hit that notifications bell, and have a beautiful everything.